Okay, just a real quick update for May 10th. It was a crazy weather day here. We had unbelievable amounts of rain all morning long into the afternoon. I mean, I've never seen it come down quite so hard. I think there was even hail at one point. So not a lot got done outside on the Quonset hut. And things are still just sort of drying out now. It'll be another day or two before it's really dry. Um, but looking at the weather radar, most of the weather is north or east of us right now. So I'm hoping we're going to see a stretch of maybe 3-4 days where, there's no rain at all. So hopefully, if that comes to pass, I'll get the rest of the Bondo done. But in the meantime, inside the Quonset hut, I brought down my chop saw. Let me turn this around here. So yeah, I'm working down here. I'm doing a little bit of carpentry work. I'm trying to make a modular stair system that will allow me to get up onto the top of the Quonset hut and to trim some tree limbs, get some of that off there. I won't be able to do all of it, but I'll get the ones that are really hanging over there and that they're not too big. I can cut them off with the pruners, the big pruners that I have. But yeah, the steps, these are actually going to be like modular steps that stack on top of each other in one, and that fits in one of the ribs. So I'm still kind of working out the design. So maybe by the end of the day tomorrow, I'll be able to show you some of that. But other than that, yeah, I just had to sweep out more water because it was just like Noah's flood coming down. But that's all that really got done today. Hopefully tomorrow will be a more productive day. Okay, talk to you later. So it's Saturday afternoon and we have had enormous amounts of rain. It has come down in absolute torrents. It's still coming down periodically. I think we're about through, or the weather system has about passed us over, hopefully. But just to show you what I mean, after a rainstorm, what it reveals in the dirt, all the old nuts and bolts and things, I'm going to just flip the camera around and show you some of the things that I'm seeing. I haven't picked up anything yet. This is like completely new right after a heavy rain. So here we go. Flip you over. So we got bolt, washer, more washers, washer, nail. Let's see. What else we got? Yeah, there's one. There's right here is a stainless steel bolt. This is some piece of metal here. What else am I seeing? Okay, that's all. Oh, there's one right there. And that's all I'm seeing off the top of my head, but I'll bet you if I come out here and start digging around, oh yeah, here's some more stuff. I don't know what that is or that. Or here's a bolt. Here's some sort of bushing, rubber bushing. Let's see, there's a nail right there. More nails. I don't know what that is. Yeah, they're all over the place. So anyway, that just kind of explains to you what I've been seeing. Okay, more later. Okay, so after about 5 to 10 minutes of just digging around in the dirt and just trying to find things that are buried here. Everything you see here was at the surface. So I could see part of it and just basically pull it up. So we got everything from shotgun shells to old bolts to old extension cords, some sort of Black & Decker plastic cover, nails, screws, spark plugs, bullets, you name it. So yeah, I'm sure I'll find more. Anyway, that's what I'm dealing with. Okay, this is May 11th, and we still have no relief from the rain. Still very rainy, although I think finally we're going to get some clear weather, maybe this afternoon. In the meantime, I've moved some more equipment down here. I'm doing some carpentry work. I'm working on a set of modular steps that will allow me to get up on top of the Quonset hut. So flip around here, and this is sort of the rig I've got set up here. I'm using kerf bending to cut some 2x4s so that they bend to the curvature of the Quonset hut, or the inner rib of the Quonset hut. Now I know that the inner diameter is going to be less than where it is on the outside, but I think it's going to be so little of a difference that it really won't matter. So right now, these guys here are I guess the backbone of the step system, and they have kerf cuts in them all the way down, and they're being glued up right now. So these angle things are holding them up against the inner diameter of the Quonset hut wall. So they will actually move to the outside like 1.5 inches backwards this way, and that's where the backbone of the step system will go all the way up, at least to the point where I can step off of it and it'll be level enough that I could stand on there. And then I built a template for the steps. It'll be like this. This will be, see if I can hold it out far enough. So that'll be a step. So I'll be able to actually literally walk up on the side of Quonset hut, and that is for power washing and for painting. So I'm going to need that. Anyway, I'm going to continue on with this. Hopefully this glues up and dries and is strong enough, but I can see some potential problems. The glue isn't going to hold, so I may need to go to like a construction adhesive. But we'll see. I'm going to give it about 5-6 hours to dry, then I'll take it down, and, take all this apart and put it on the outside, and just see how strong it is. Okay, I'm going to continue on later. Okay, this is the second update for May 11th, and it has been raining all day. No surprise there. But what was interesting earlier was that I was looking at the weather radar on my phone, and I'm just trying to see when it's going to clear, and something new popped up. It said try our motion map, and I didn't want to try it, and it kept coming up, and I accidentally hit it the last time, and it shows the winds, the direction that they're blowing, and today the winds are blowing west and north, which is like completely opposite of what they normally do. So no wonder we keep getting this same recycling of storm systems over and over again. However, by Monday and Tuesday, it looks like they will be returning back to their normal directions of north and east to get out of here. So, but I was like shocked. I'm like, what? That never happens. Moving north and west. So that's probably why we've gotten so much rain. Anyway, since it's been raining, can't do Bondo, but I've been working on these modular steps. Let me just take you inside and show you what I've been working on. You know, hold on, I'm going to shut the camera off and restart it because I got to turn the lights on. Okay, so I got the lights on in here. I've been doing some carpentry work and coming up with a design for these modular steps that go along the outside of the Quonset hut. And these are like the steps that will be mounted on the way up to the top, so you'll be able to just walk up. And I've cut all the other 2x4s that fit within the ribs of the Quonset hut and done the kerf cutting to make these things bend a little bit. So I showed you earlier this morning how I'm getting these things to hold the bend of using the kerfs, but I have a feeling this isn't going to work. I put glue in those joints and then I bent it, and then they're staying in that position while it dries. And I know glue joints can be extremely strong, even as strong as the wood itself. However, that's if you've got two surfaces coming together that are nice and flat, and you're putting a lot of pressure on the two as it dries, and the wood is dry, and basically I have none of those conditions. The only places that the wood is really getting close to being connected while being glued is at the outside here, like right at each joint here and here. And I'm lucky if I get maybe 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch of contact between the wood. So, I mean, I have a feeling this is just going to fail. But I did find online something called, I don't even know how I found them. They just kind of popped up and I said, man, that's perfect. They're called mending plates. And you can buy packs of them that are, 24 for like $7. And it's basically just a piece of metal about 2.5 inches long with holes in it that I can put here at each joint where I've cut the wood to make the kerf, and it will just hold it in that position with a metal plate and 2 screws. I will probably glue all the other ones just unless I take this off and it just falls apart, then it's like not even worth gluing them. But if that happens, maybe I'll try the construction adhesive, see if that works a little better. But if it holds its position reasonably well, I'll glue the other ones, and then I'll put the mending plates on each kerf cut. And that'll be also good for connecting the individual modular step units together as they sit on the outside of the building. So that's kind of what I've been working on. I could take you out and show you how this is supposed to work. I don't know if I can hold it all together while I'm holding a phone. Let's see here. I need this, and this. Let's go out. The problem I'm going to face is that as it goes up, the angles are going to change on me. So basically, I'm going to have 2 of these, one sitting there, and then the other one will sit here, within this groove. And then I'll just put this one in the center for the moment. And then the steps will sit like this, so that you can step up and step up and step up, and then there'll be a support underneath that step like this. Let's see, I don't know if I can hold this all together. There you go. Something like that. But the problem is, as you go up, the curvature of the Quonset hut gets more and more, so the angles of each one of these support pieces is going to have to change. So that's what I'm dealing with. I'm just trying to work out approximates right now, and as I get into the actual putting it all together, you know, I'll make adjustments for those angles. So anyway, that's what I've been doing while it's raining. Hopefully if we get sun tomorrow, I'll be back to Bondo again. Anyway, that's all for today. Talk to you later. Okay, it's Monday the 12th, and this morning when I got up, it was pouring rain. I'm like, oh, not another day of this. And then eventually around 10 o'clock, the sun came out. I'm like, oh, thank God. Looked at the weather radar. Things are moving east and away. So fingers crossed, we'll get a couple of nice days. Things are starting to dry out. This is about 5:30 on Monday. So in the meantime, I was trying to get some other things done, and I was working on this outer modular stair system to get up to the top of the Quonset hut. And some people might say, well, why don't you just throw a ladder up there? And I'd say, oh yeah, okay, I mean, you're right. But I mean, I have a ladder, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. And it was kind of a pain in the ass to get this thing to fold out straight and then lift it up and ease it down onto the Quonset hut without like destroying anything. And honest to God, there are branches above here. I got it caught in the trees. It took me like 5 minutes to get it unstuck from the trees. So, you know, there's the aggravation factor. With the modular units, I can deploy it in about 10 minutes. And, you know, it's a single-use item. So that's its only purpose, and I won't have to futz around with my ladder if maybe it's in use somewhere, and I don't have to take stuff apart and then reconfigure it, move it outside, then reconfigure it back when I'm done, and put the stuff back on, you know, whatever I was using the ladder for. So anyway, I'll show you both the ladder and the step system now. So let me switch this over. And so here, let me back up a little bit. Here is the ladder up against the Quonset hut. And there is the beginnings of the modular step system. And honestly, you know, I climbed up this ladder about 3 or 4 steps, and I'm really, this middle joint here, I'm like really sketchy of whether it's going to hold my weight or not. I mean, it probably would, but boy, I'm just like bouncing around all over the place. So anyway, I don't think it's a good solution. So I'm going to continue on with this. See if I can go out a bit. Okay. So now this is the beginnings of it. The glue did not work. It kind of held the shape, but it's long term, it's not going to work. So like I mentioned before with the mending plates, I think that'll be just fine. I'm going to have to disassemble what I have here, put both of those ribs for the step system back into the jig so that they get the right curvature. Then I'll put the mending plates on so that it holds that curvature, and then I'll reassemble this. But as you can see, like that's the first step there. I can see some issues with, you know, getting the steps spaced out correctly as well as getting the angles correct, because as you go up, the curvature remains the same, but the those supports on the bottom down here, they're going to have different angles to keep the step almost level. Like this one is not quite level. It's tipped a little bit into the building, which is okay. That's kind of what I wanted. But yeah, I'm going to have to futz with that, at least for the first one. And then hopefully the second one will be just the same. The second and the third will be the same as this one. Although, again, the angles are going to have to change, but the spacing of the steps should be, well, you know, now that I think about it, they're not going to be the same. It's going to be, each one is going to have to be individually, you know, messed with to get it right. But then down here at the bottom, I've got these two 2x4s. Basically, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount a 4x4 into the ground right here, and then I'll have 2x4s that come out so that this bottom part of the ribs can't slide out, it can't move. And then I'll also extend this step to the side so it can't move side to side. It'll be touching the ribs of the Quonset hut here. So it can't move that way, can't move that way, can't come back out this way. So it should be pretty stable. That's the plan. But I'm probably going to put that on hold until I get finished with the Bondo. I think things are starting to dry out. This is the northern side. I haven't even looked at the southern side. I'll bet so. Just walk around real quickly here. Yeah, I mean, we're just getting a little sun on this side. Yeah, okay, it's starting to dry out a little bit, but not quite dry enough. Yeah, I'm gonna have to wait probably till tomorrow to finish up the Bondo. But yeah, we're close. I think this is looking pretty good here. Yeah, almost dry enough, I'd say, to do Bondo work. But with the humidity dropping way down, this will get nice and dry by tomorrow, and I can finish up the Bondo work. Look at this. Things dropping out of the sky from the trees. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get rid of these branches up top here because they just drop crap all on the building all the time. So that's it. That's Monday. So back to Bondo on Tuesday, and you know, maybe in the meantime continue on with the modular step system. All right, that's all for today. Have a good one. Okay, it's May 13th. Time for an update. Well, milestone reached. I have completed all the Bondo on the southern side, at least for the first coat. So let me take you around, show you that. It finally was dry enough today. Honest to God, even today, this morning, when I came out, I had to sweep between the ribs, and it was still like damp. And I was like, oh man, I hope it dries out. And it did eventually. It wasn't until about like maybe 3:30, it finally dried enough. And I had the fans going on the inside, and I had broomed out the water. So it was dry on the inside, dry on the outside. I said, okay, let's get this done. So, and honestly, it's hard to tell, but I think like this one and that one and that one were the three remaining ones that needed to be done. However, I have a whole chart of all the ribs that I've looked at from the inside, and I can see a lot of little pinholes. So, yeah, the Bondo story is not done. I will continue to fill those pinholes, and like I've said many times before, I still gotta sand them all and do a second coat and then make it smooth so it'll look good when it's painted. And let's see if we come around to the front. I started to put up the tarps on the front. What I did was I put 2x4s all along the perimeter of the door here, the opening. And I did that because originally I was thinking, okay, I'll just drill right through the aluminum and screw right into the wood behind it. And I thought, yeah, it's not such a great idea. Drilling through the aluminum is not going to be easy. And then it's going to leave holes. I'm going to have to caulk it. So I just threw up some 2x4s all the way around the perimeter. And then this is basically the idea. I'll put one tarp here and then an overlapping one here. And I'm hoping that I can, because it makes it pretty dark inside, so I'm hoping that I can just like roll it up or lift it during the day so I get some light in there. Otherwise, I'm going to have to rely totally on, internal lighting. But basically, let me get a piece of furring strip. The idea was to put the tarp up and then put furring strips here and just screw it right into the 2x4 and hold the tarp on there. But I think what I'm thinking of doing is just putting the furring strips along the top just to let it hang, and then have maybe one down here at the bottom for at nighttime. I'll just screw it in there and then leave everything else loose so that I can just put a string or something on this last eyelet here and just somehow pull it up and just allow light to come in on both sides for the daytime. So I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do that, but figure it out. So that's pretty much all I've got done today. I moved a lot of other equipment down here to the Quonset hut that was in the house. And yeah, that's it for today. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Okay, May 14th. Not a whole lot got done today. I was in town today getting stuff I need to continue on with several different projects. I'm building a fire pit as well. But I did get some stuff done here today on the tarps out front. Let me switch around. I got the bottom rolled up and secured. So now it'll stay there at nighttime. And then if I want during the daytime, I have a rope system. It's not really a pulley, but it will allow me to lift this up about 3/4 of the way, and then I can just tuck the rest in, and it lets a lot of daylight in as well as air, because it does get a little stuffy in there. I've also mounted one of the LED lights up above here, and I'm going to put the other one up here for now. I'm finding those lights are extremely harsh on the eyes, so I'm going to go with a different solution to soften it up a little bit, but I'll just wait on that to show you what I'm going to do. Let me just go in here and turn the light on and shut off the camera, and then I'll reset it. So I had to go inside the Quonset hut and turn it on. Actually, turning it on means just like plugging it in, but you can see how just harsh that light is. So yeah, somehow I'm going to have to tone it down, because even having multiple of those, even though it gives a lot of light, it's just, you can't even look at it. It's like looking at the sun. Also, you can see the pulley system that I've got here. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to unconnect it for nighttime, and then I'll pull it up and I'll show you how that works. Okay, keep in mind this is all temporary until the garage door arrives, but I just wanted to have some way to close it off at night and then open it up during the day. And yeah, this other space here, that'll get its own tarp for now, but then all I do is grab this rope pull it up here and lock it onto a screw in the wall, and then just tuck this up here. Worked better earlier. So, I can get 2/3 to 3/4 open during the day, and I can do a little better if I really want to. But it only takes 30 seconds or so to open and close that. So tomorrow it's back to Bondo because I can see holes still in some of the ribs. Anyway, that's all for today. All right, today I am fixing the pinholes in the Bondo. This is actually before a second coat of the Bondo. But I want to show you what I'm dealing with here. This is incredible. I'm on the outside and I can barely see. I mean, it's really hard to find these holes. But on the inside, they are as clear as day. It's like a laser beam of light coming right through, and I can see it. But on the outside, it's really hard to see. So let me flip you over here. What I've done is I just stuck a tiny little drill bit through the hole so I can see where I'm at on the outside. So here, so I don't know if you can really get close here. Yeah, so there's the drill bit coming through. If I pull that out, I mean, you can barely see that. I mean, you get away from here like more than a foot. It's like practically impossible to see. But it's so obvious from the inside that that's a hole. So anyway, what I'm doing is I'm just taking the little, let me back out here again. My little Dremel tool with a little raspy bit on the end, cleaning up around it just so the Bondo bonds, and then I'll put a little patch over that before I do the final coat of Bondo. And yeah, that's what I'm working on right now. Okay, Thursday, May 15th. While it was reasonably cool this morning for Florida, I did a little bit more grading along the back of the Quonset hut. Yeah, I still needed to do some work. It still needs a little bit more, but it's a lot closer. So yeah, you can see if I step back a little bit. Oops, wrong one. Yeah, it's a lot closer to what it needs to be. It's still basically flat at the top. It needs to slope down from the concrete this way. And I know that a lot of this dirt here is really soft. It's going to settle. So this strip right here is still a little bit high. So I got to smooth that over. And down the end is still a little rough down there. So I got maybe another hour's worth of work. Let's walk around there. Oh. And I still have this to deal with. That's coming up. I have some ideas. It's basically a hole in the back where you can put a couple of fans and draw air either from the front or the back and push it through the building. So yeah, I'm still mulling over a few ideas in my head on how to deal with that. I don't want something sticking out like that because that just traps water at the top and just makes things rot a lot faster. Probably get a piece of aluminum, put it along the top here and just like come down and out like that, shed water over, and then this will be, whatever I do will be completely flat with the building. So that's still up and coming, still thinking about that one. And then on the southern side, I got all of the pinholes, I guess, routed out with a tiny little Dremel tool. It's this guy here. It's just like a carbide bit, sort of rounded at the top. And the only way I was able to find those pinholes was to stick a tiny little drill bit where the light was coming in from the inside to the outside, and then I could spot exactly where the drill bit was coming out on the outside, and I routed it out, scratched all around it for about an inch or so to make a good surface for new Bondo, and then I got them all bondoed. So you can see, maybe you can see, because it's got a slightly different color. I used probably a little bit more of the hardener cream, but yeah, here, I think there was a total of 12, yeah, here's one right here, 12 holes that I had to patch on the southern side. There's one right there. And then also on the northern side, yeah, more crap pulled out of the ground right there. On the northern side, same deal. Had to, find out where all the little pinholes were and put Bondo there on those. Let's see if I can find one. There wasn't, I think there's only about 4 or 5 on this side. Yeah, there's one right there. And there's another. And there's another. So I think I should be good to go as far as water tightness, except for maybe there's one down here towards the front. It's in the first 1, 2, or 3. I just can't find it. I'm going to have to get the hose out and just see where water comes in, because I don't see any light coming through. But that's it for today. I was in town. I was getting more supplies, more lumber, and other things that I'm going to need. But yep, that's it for today. I'll talk to you later. So the mending plates came today, and I disassembled the beginnings of that first outer step module and put the backbone 2x4s with the kerf cuts back into the jig and screwed in the mending plates. So that looks like it's going to work. I'll show you that. Flip this over. So there's the disassembled pieces, and then here is the jig with those backbone pieces in there and the mending plates. Let's zoom in a little bit here. Yep, so you can see it spans each kerf cut and just holds it from spreading out. And then this was like the pack of mending plates that came. There's, I think, 24 in each one. So yeah, I think that's going to work fine. No glue required, and it should hold for a very long time. Okay, and there it is, reassembled with the mending plates on. It's got on the left and on the right. Move back a little bit. And none in the middle, only on the outsides. I think that's enough. Doesn't seem to be a problem. So that's it. Now I just got to finish the stairs up and then do 2 more like that. Maybe even a third, I'm not sure. But anyway, it's a start. Okay, this is the update for Friday, May 16th. And today was a day of cleanup, organization, and experimentation. I'm not even sure where to start first, but did a lot of different things today, and I'll spin the camera around and try to walk you through some of them. Okay, so I did get the hose out and spray down these first couple of ribs here to see if I could find where that pinhole leak was. Turns out there was no pinhole leak, but there is a leak in one of these joints here. I think it's, let's see, I think it's either this one or this one. If you squirt water along the back side it will like go into this seam here, and water is getting in that way. So no big deal. I can just Bondo right over top of that, and that should solve that issue. Next, down here, I was trying to do some sanding of the Bondo just to see how long it would take me to do each one, and then I could estimate how long it would take to do all of them, and just to see what it would look like after sanding off the high spots and how much Bondo it's going to take. So here is the one that I did, and it's surprising that there's still a lot of space in there that needs to be filled by Bondo. But it didn't really take that long to sand it down, maybe like 3 or 4 minutes per rib, and then I can just go over it with another coat of Bondo. It should fill in faster and take less than the first coat. So that's good news. And then I'm thinking, you know, what would happen if I actually tried to clean the metal of the Quonset hut? And obviously you can see there is a huge difference between where I cleaned and where it has not been cleaned. So all I did was I used some foaming cleaner and a scrub brush, like the kind you have in your kitchen sink, like a little scrubby pad, and then hosed it down. And man, it looks like brand new. However, I have no intention of doing that on the whole building. But what it will do is let me know how good of a job the power washer will do compared to actually scrubbing the metal. So you can't get much better than that, but it will be interesting to see how good of a job the power washer does. Okay, moving on. In the back here, I did some more root removal over here on this end of the Quonset hut. So yeah, I still got some work to do back here. All I did was dig up, and now I have to like grade it off. And as I mentioned in previous videos, this whole backside needs to come down a little bit, needs to get smoothed out. So yeah, got a little bit more work done there. And then nothing much over here. Let me go all the way around to the front. Actually, I did show you, I don't know if I showed you the reconstructed stair steps. Here, I'll bring this outside. This is with the mending plates applied. So this basically goes like this. And then it just sits right there. Seems to work pretty good. And move back out a little bit. I can stand on that and I get no flex at all. It doesn't even seem to tend to slip back. If I actually get on it, there you go. Standing on it right now, jumping up and down, no bending. It does tend to flip out like this, but once the other ones are here and going up, it should add a little bit of a leverage to the top to hold it that way, and so it really shouldn't pop out away from the Quonset hut. And then I did actually take some time to think about what I'm going to do way in the back here. I don't know if I have my drawing or not. Yeah, probably won't be able to see it. It's too dark. You can see I did a lot of. Let's see which way is up. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you can see I did a lot of sketching. do with this open area back here. I think I'm going to make it so that it holds 4, this area here, which will be open to the outside, will hold 4 of these small 20-inch fans. And I'll be able to turn, 2 sets on at a time. So that should bring air from the back of the Quonset hut into the Quonset hut and then out the front door. And that was about it. Let me see. Yeah, well, I also found this old metal shelving unit in one of the storage units next to the house. So I grabbed that, cleaned it off, and then put some of my equipment onto that just to help me organize things, and reorganized all the tools here in the Quonset hut. And I was going to try and get to this second tarp today. I pulled out the blue tarp that I had, but it just wasn't big enough. So I'm going to use the other silver tarp that I have. I think that'll, if I fold it in half, it's just the right width, and it'll come all the way down here. And it'll overlap maybe like a foot, which is exactly what I want. That's all I really need. Just curtain things off and keep all the pests out. Anyway, that's about it for today. And I'm going to keep continuing on in several different projects. So should be interesting. All right, have a great week.